Abusuan like video share mo bi foforo na ono nso enya bi enhwe na mampanyin John Mahama asemo a odikoto dwa se anti LGBTQ bill plus ensheda enye ni priority no akofa nsem bebre e de abama nei asofo titiri omukoko apaiye papa se omumo ho kwan mo yusu omu platforms ahodo e de campaign kire Ghana fo na ene wanya akwanya na wayi nani e de ama wo mo na presiding bookshop of the Methodist Church of Ghana, Professor Kwabna Asamoah Jedu, Edi Atudwa, says Sansemo a Ekoswono, Mampenny Nim na Wamfani Nancy for Manche, Ama Bill no man saya, any adiefe, ebe anytime. Ninani said, a government spokesperson, a Felix of Fusukwache, Ediso the Aquaco piece who said, a priority, name more focus on other projects, a Bebuama Ghana for Sitremo. Now the question is, how many months or how many weeks is it going to take the government to make sure that this bill is signed and sealed? Say beya asumdwe beba na yetimi akoyenim kukwasa we live to her na we nso adane dia to her no na enei debate bi yetimi akoso ama sofu chiri Abosom edi akwa se ono de otayaban na chi se enye priority omunhwe no munye niama anaso omumye nyuma ma mabru no na enye priority ama chese gua analyst bi ade agu ne so no ono ankasa wati bi ahwan yie papa enya asem ketwa na Nana Frimpong Ziga on the digest edi nkomo ne mpanyifo akukudam edi nkomo yie pa mepese e begibre na yakotie discussions ni bi yenso adwen kire fa nsemo a ekoso no ho no yetumi edi ato comment section.
Many ni se hu hia yantu adwene mbo ho na president onye na dwuma Onyankopon se ewu ni nkwani mi de si woni mchusu baako wo pe wankasa na be decide wo wi asese we na pese meye ade ese bo ho ba na se yen kyerkyere mfa nko education sanse mfa hwe mre ni mum se ekoba se obi anyina wi no no atimi take decision no fi se bia obentu mutuma ho anasem ono ane pe no de na ade se ye pe kwampa se fa so ma mamu no koso a yenwene de yedie de ennom ye bambo no eno no hia chen saa enoma we a ye de ba be ha dwia waste time. It's a president ka se enya ni priority a me support in 100%. More omwa see ye be science ensign mo nye ho ne adwene wo sese ite suosu enyina sese ye be ko ebe campaign se be bitime tutu bo host ne adade e wo be bia mankofo nye su papa nom no ye nwene no obi oba ne be ma be ma ko dani adade unyi bi. Into what do you have to think of that? Into enye mranzo 20 amro bai so obi ankonkonko engongo bi ade yenye mran 20 so me kwa den kamera ke sample se yenye se memma nyina obi anware be edu 10 eno nenka ama saade nyina no abrasi amide sa BGT 1 POQ plus no mom yenya president mama no omo bra no nyina no mo man no fa no to mapenfra ne enko yenim enipa se Onyankopon se me di owu no nkwa asiwani di open yiba akọ enti wankasa o decision obi adu 18 no visit obey saade na allow the person to do say ono anasem enti say ni say ye fa ho kokobo emo ho de ro na no say Disgraces no munye o ti say enti ye me akwa me ton ye say aturo ho say it's harmful to your health o ti say enti ya makwa no ye so koto a ya turo ase ho say so no mo akoma be say so comfort no. In the end, they can say LGBT nyare papa any campaign against it. Obi office open. You should go and join. And you was a no pay. It's the individual choice. On one casane yi na see bigina so na so for any yina and ya the papa and the mommy and cosign and push any say no dear. Meaning say who here, you'd be with Satan picket.
Hey, so are you saying say as a President Mahama na should not pay attention to it and I said bill no crown we should do away with the bill no crown me and fan parliament cry.
You forget about it. A minute say forget it if I so be in the street on the boy. Me see Onyankopon so the woo and nkwa esi wenim choose one kasa that Onyankopon ka say me yemra e de tia say woo and nkwa onu kwa so bia ko wom e se chinchira ho fa nkwa do pamo nti epene wo bia ho o meti we minim se me wo pese se bia me ware a na me oba na tren me no oba na tie obi so ne be ma ne betra ono anasem mo nya sa kaw no ya de na yemma enoma pa ebetima bo o man mpontuo no omo nwene ho no mo famoa na omo ye wi a na obi oba beto aso so abeto aso ne ye kokko enim dan se ebe gina we so awisi eta bebre.
But Your Excellency, apart from you being a founder of a political party in the political aspect, you know, when it comes to the religious aspect, now you are a religious leader. One of the biggest churches this country, who lead the back, founder the bank ruler. Now, who can be saying no? You cite Bible to preach the Bible, the Christian doctrine, ye be a dogma, and the creed speak against this thing. Now, who can you say no? And yet, as a who endorse LGBTQ plus.
No, me endorse no more. Me see when you go or the papa anybody will hold the amount. Choose one. Into one person else will take your decision. It will be the body. Again, I will my no. What you mean anyway? What I say? And now your brat said you can be cash was obey see. And then obi ye tue obi say menkwa osiginjina media menko osme nkodia mepe kwanfo for so akwa e de na be no oba na say won tro mo say LGBT na omo de ensa so ko ne kwa kwhye dem ne aye de be ne apia how would you get to know and then memma ne ma omo memma ware say ye ntro LGBT the mum yin na ikwa kushiem wo yan konkon yenim da no mum fa better than say no mo timi ni say betimi aboy kwan bia so na me endozo the mum me kire say enye ye priority say the president mama kan no mum ye fi adwen ento mum ye wusi time discussing gata bibli mo choku enkora nya adwuma nye no me kwan say fa so betimi nya adwuma ye ama youth no wabon no abrabo enye basa enye nhwe no what I say is a number of people a pressing issues as I see it me dwene ho e kwa be ne bitima fa so na ye buru ya body ye ba ya na apuri ko bitim di biaka fufu ne di esi adwene no ho e buru ye ba ya na ebusu je ne ba ya na ebuyi ye mfa bi mu kan no ye nye nanda no mani ye me adwen kosa de ne so ye bitima boa nipa nyina na yetima ko yenim and say you be doing normal way on. Meaning say idea issue that as it me doing on high sir.
But you actually see during the 2024 campaign, you also spoke against and you were telling Nana Akufo-Addo to sign it, right?
Me yes said Nana Akufo-Addo before saying if he say bia and no na or the and the campus office bia one sign say bia
save that em say hono o line chesi kakra anka ye be sa asase bia na me bisa say
na Akufo-Addo
2024 no ana ehun sensem hyase say eba Akufo-Addo sign on sign say you also added your voice say chinchina Akufo-Addo sign embeye mra any idea because NPP 4% more introduce LGBTQ as like they be reluctant to the cause of it. And then I said, Anna
video me can be bisa. Unya video bia me can be bisa o baby ya. Say me catch you say na ko for chinchina ko sign we. Ade na hia me kase ne say Ghana for betima say de no me kono nkoyi. O me sesa ban no. Me no be one more. Yeah, me family nkum bebre. Sanse me fi say me hu say fa so bi ani so. Ye sena a president ne asofo ko hia ye o hia mo bo say me de me ba me sign. E wi atu ndu ba bi a. Ofia on tini me bi ase. Oba bedru no hu say da bi. Ade no pressure gumi so kra nye bi ni sa LGBT na mo ka no. O ti ase. Enti no o kan tina asofo ni be ba bontin say o ka so besa ye sign a e de na mutima ya fa. And then between me penny for the Pia catch a Ghana for say Ghana for penny for a dear so the piano. Mean you have my mean platform zonka, that's so far ballet sunti, they make out. We need to think of the spirituality. pampa bitima faso bitimi abo nipa honhom mu kwan mu ni bitima abo ma nipa tima ko nanim yenya saa no ma bi eso so no o da say otumfo e woni ku odwene o ma panyin kofo e woni ku odwene we woni ku odwene we ku odwene they have the omo ne die so omo Bible no ko omo hwe okora o da say and so no they are leaders of this very country I show na say is I told them the Bible say mom you want to baby na adwene ni nyansa na yi wetimu na nyamede maaye ne fa nya dwuma ne nko yenim nya se ene bribi atwam na Sodom ni Gomorrah na anye Sodom anye Gomorrah baby ye dru no ye du baby a ye be ma internet no adwene no e wetim be ye dwuma yetimi aboa ametima ko yenim nya sa tetesem na de mo to so ene watworo se no it is bogus to me yes, I believe in dreams. I believe on the hearing of voices. I believe what we see in your vision. And very important. Young many pardon. Idea Jumani Fanya Jumani Yase and the Jerusalem and the house in Yakina. A different place altogether.
Okay. Yes, let's see. Best wishes is about Musa with you. I would say, Brakra, for example, okay, Attorney General's officer. The functions no say the Attorney General as so preventive crime. Police formra okay the Police Act no one of the functions of the Police Act which say as so preventive crime o ma crime ne man wa kwachi dipa no na mame mbisa o ye wa say religious leader na ade e betimi ama nipa ya bone akobo nsam jam no adenti na yam preventive
ejabe won stand out there musam jam bia ni baby o mo boa Busem Jimbia ni baby Busem Jimbia ni baby you get your punishment on this earth. There's no Busem Jim anywhere. There's no heaven anywhere. Heaven is the right where you are living now. The baby the body is dead, no more. What I say, and Muminya sabugo stitchings na dia man kofo na ya dia tun kofo tin na bonsem dia be ba cho bonsem dia bia ni ba bia nipa bia obedi ni bono nyam betua wo ka wasase so obeni wakatua obeda forma pro ana ho ba chiro obekwa titi ni amane mu e dia bonsem dia wana ko hu wabada and Abraham anyway that bonsem dim anyway that and we yi kokoda e bonsem sikani no anyway so bebeda Abraham gugum and o catch and say from cycle can see overcome get much obi o dey jam timi no obi o wapon tedi ngomo this is Pharisee and I na or the sub obi the sub should not be counted to maso ejemu a ebeda yi ko na so get maso di mami injira ya atro ofa mom ye fe no ntwente na me de ye nwine o man no mpuntu o man no pagya man no kese na ye nhwe se sa sofo a etso na Bible say for no muni o machi so for mo skin so me ba joti masama can in fact you shouldn't follow you people because they say baby entro no enye ke na nye Jerusalem asem people cho me ba ya sama kese ene kofodua ho asem ne ye kayo o te me kan say aye tie no enye wa Israel asase no ko da osisi ne nye no titi Israel no esu no kreti se Jordan na galam se esu ne da no eno me ba jo ma na kreti ne na baby anwe bi esi we ese na lot eyi wa dan esi o se ya mo boa eso so for so purpure ko e ko da ho ne asaba ofa ye mind na ne enchire ye bi ne mbre ne mpe adwuma ma mrante no me se ade a wo yi se me president a sabrin kinipa be 20 atwa ho hia enkola kitu free a school ye twa ho hia yesua within just akorabia nyina wa be 6 months time no je wo mutima yebi nya sana yakota classroom ni ade enne doctor bi o theater sabrin enkola be 6 atwa ho hia enko mo bi mo ye science o mo twa ho hia mo hwe confaso o pretty ye papa ni pem ye say practical. Let's move on towards that. Mama minya life president mama bi obi a o hwe so nyina dwuma ye o ka me support no 100%.
Okay. Yes, let's see. Mr. Nkunjaye, o de debi a Nkunjaye da. Just yes, I have Dr. Sebastian Paulo and I'm Reverend Bishop J.Y. Du is a founder and the leader of New Jerusalem Chapel in Kumasi. Is also with us Mamini Bishop J.Y. Du and trust so Bishop utie de His Excellency Akaya na chese Oshoma akasem ni fie say ye maya dwene kosi ye benwene o man no maya die danse pushy and investing all our attention, passion, emotions, and everything into this this LGBTQ thing and fashion family. To say the president kinda. So do you buy that idea? Hello, Bishop. Bishop, what be two set and be to the why? Hello? All right, Bishop Jewad, I think that we need to prepare him again. Hello, Bishop. Mister, unmute your set for me. Why? Unmute your set, mommy. Okay, I'm
trying. Baby, I don't fancy me also. On fancy me out. Can I say it?
Bishop, baby, I don't want to down fancy me also, mommy. Why? Yes, so Kasani. Okay. Let me move to Dr. Sebastian Paulo. So, Bishop, you're ready, and you're so say thank you very much for joining us. Now, the section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act talks about the unnatural carnal knowledge, and this one too is a human sexual right and family values a bill. We have seen a lot of countries who passed an anti-LGBT law, but later on, because of the pressure that came from the Western world, they reversed to their normal, law. The state of this country, our economy, everything. Do you think that we have ripe enough to pass such a, law that will attract that attention, that heat from the Westerners?
Thank you so much, Ziga, and good afternoon to my seniors and to your listeners. You remember the last time we had this conversation? I think that was late last year.
Yeah.
And I made this point very clear that looking at what is happening today internationally, there is an opportunity for Ghana to pass this bill. And the reason is simple. Remember, from the 90s into the 2000s, it was America, it was Europe, and these were the main donors to Ghana. These were the main donors to less influential countries in international politics. So it was time for democracy. It was time for Western funding of your projects. And so it was simply going to be difficult for any country to come up and say, look, I am coming up with an anti-same-sex bill. That was not part because of conditionalities. Now, today, Russia has come up really strongly and is doing very well in the Sahel in particular and across Africa. The Gulf states, Saudi Arabia is there, Qatar is there, the United Arab Emirates is there, India is there, Brazil is there, and many other African countries have come up very strongly, and we now call it a multipolar world. And if you look at the attitude of Iran today, for Iran to have caused the US to back up and perhaps sign or agree to sometimes to end a war, no one saw that. But this is a sign of many powers coming up in the world. And what that means is that the voice of the Western donors to stop Ghana from signing such a bill has been reduced. Now, what is left is a good relationship that Ghana has with Western nations that may let the country reconsider a lot of things that may make the bill or this act, if it is being passed, very challenging for many populations. But I want to appreciate the efforts of the civil society organizations, especially the churches, and trying to force the president or perhaps push the president and the party in government to sign this bill. But one thing that I see is that sometimes in Ghana here, we channel our energies into areas that are not necessarily very urgent, as the president said. If you look at the calls from the opposition, the calls from the church, if we had the same energy that would be channeled into fighting corruption in Ghana. That would be channeled into campaigning for agriculture to become the mainstay of the country. That would be channeled into youth employment, or that would be channeled into, issues of health and falling standards. Yes. If we had this same force, very sustained, I can assure you that a lot of people would forget about LGBTQ. Yeah. But of course, no one will be surprised that this thing is coming up simply because it is part of the politics that we play in Ghana, isn't it? Yeah. And so there are three main things that you always see in every political cycle. The currency, obviously, is always an issue that every political party will use to play politics and come to power. Fuel is one of them, and other commodity prices, including cocoa and the gold. So these are areas where people play politics. And the other area that a lot of people don't see is about our socio-cultural issues. Religion is there, ethnicity is there, and now same-sex matter has come up. And the NDC benefited somehow, of course, campaigning on the back of the then President Akufo-Addo failing to sign the bill. Yeah. It was politicized, and of course, a lot of people bought into it. I do agree with the president that the LGBTQ plus is not anything urgent for us to be considering now as a country, particularly given what is happening to the economy, an economy which is trying to revive itself. I think that the president could have put it better by saying that, of course, it is being considered in Parliament and different sections of society are being consulted. I will agree with the president on that. We are very sensitive in terms of politics. So for him to have made the statement that it is not a priority, that alone, the churches, the mosques, different religious sects feel that they have been betrayed. That is where the feeling of betrayal is coming from. Yeah. Otherwise, I do agree with the president that, look, we need a lot of energy to be channeled into really important issues such as corruption. I always would want to see this kind of energy fighting corruption, this kind of energy fighting galamsey, this kind of energy fighting for agriculture to be the mainstay so that we reduce, in fact, our pathetic reliance on desert states for tomatoes. So for me, I think the only thing that the president perhaps could have reflected on is the usage of this bill not being a priority. And the reason is simple, simply because a lot of people supported the president, a lot of religious groups supported him in the lead up to the 2024 elections. That is the only problem. And of course, you will see the opposition party coming and pushing. But the other thing that I suspect from within the government, the party in government, is that there may be some divisions within the party. Some people campaigned so much against it, and they promised that when they come to power after 2024 elections, they were going to pursue this. They were going to make it a priority. But I see that most of the people who are frontline in government are rather thinking that, look, let us stabilize the economy. We need to stabilize the economy. We need to look into priority areas. We need to make sure that flagship programs, particularly when it comes to youth employment-related issues, we want to see bills being pushed. We want to see concrete results in some of these areas. I can assure you that we need more considerations, we need more consultations to be able to pass this anti-LGBTQ bill into an act or a law, simply because times are changing. Times are changing. A lot of considerations are coming up. Human rights issues are being defined. And I think that we simply need to take our time so that we look at all the issues that must be considered before this bill is signed into a law. So to conclude on this particular first question, I think that this is the right time if the country wants to sign an anti-same-sex bill, but we just need to take our time. We are not receiving much of the funding that we're given 10 years or 20 years ago, that would have prevented us from doing so. We just saw what happened in Senegal. The young president just simply does not budge to some of these things. And I think that if we take our time and consult enough, and particularly depoliticize, it is difficult not to politicize such sensitive issues. But I think that Parliament has to reflect, the whole of society, including churches, will have to reflect. I can assure you there are a lot of people who don't know the content of the bill, but they are campaigning for it to be passed.
Yeah.
So that is where I find some challenges in. I just think that we need to understand exactly what is contained there. Particularly that one of your colleagues took the matter to the Supreme Court for interpretation. Yes. So I think that we need to understand some of these things and see whether it serves the interests of Ghana at all. For me, where I sit as a young person, as a young public sector employer, I just think that we need to channel our energies into fighting corruption and expanding the economy and stabilizing the economy, rather than seeing agency in areas where I don't see agency.
All right. But Doc, 2011, it was estimated that the LGBTQ plus activists in this country were 1% of our population. Now they were about 55,000 thereabout or something. Then 10 years later, that's 2021, when you had a World and Housing and Population Census, and it became 3%, and it keeps shooting up and all that. So the question is, can we be adamant to this? Can we be reluctant? Can we say that the LGBTQ, how it keep developing, it is not an important issue that should be brushed aside and focus on employment and other stuff?
Okay. Do you know the percentage of people living with HIV?
Yeah, no, I had it recently, but I forgot it. Yeah. Okay.
And the second question is, do you know that between 12 and 14% of people in Ghana do not have jobs?
Yeah.
Now, to follow up on that, in fact, the majority of these people are 29 years, around 29 years.
Yeah.
Now, that's to tell you that there are a lot of important issues, but some are more critical. For me, we are defining priority. That's where the discussion is. We are defining priority. If you look at the government's sponsorship of key health-related issues, and you see now what we call Mahama Care.
Yeah.
The reason why some of us are still praying that Mahama Care should come out very clearly is that we still don't see that Mahama Care can tackle the pressing health needs that we have in this country. Someone has a health issue, unemployed, and the person is supposed to pay close to 100,000 cedis in Ghana here.
Yeah.
Now, someone is HIV patient, the person does not have access to antiretroviral drugs. You are graduating close to 100,000 young people, and we are not angry a lot or enough about unemployment. Now, what I'm saying is that all these things should be seen more as priority areas than same-sex issues. And I'm not saying same-sex issues are not important. They are important, but it should not attract this kind of urgency that we are giving. But of course, as I told you, I do understand simply because of the political dynamic of it. And so what I'm trying to say is that if there is anything to campaign for vigorously today, it should be issues of health agency, environment-related issues, and unemployment issues. Now, 3% of every population is significant enough to be protected. And so if any research says that LGBTQ plus people are up to 3%, which I'm not really sure because I've not done any research, I haven't read any specific research on that. What we need to do is to actually sign this bill into law. And what we need to do is to take our time and see how these people are part of society. So I think one of the reasons why your colleague took the matter to court is the infringement on some of the rights of these people based on the content of the bill.
Yeah.
So this bill for me is not one of the urgent issues, but I'm not saying it should not be because there are a lot of unurgent bills that are hanging in Parliament today.
Okay.
Some of the things that society should be fighting for are things that are around basic needs, things that would enable you and I to live with dignity as Ghanaians. These are some of the things that I think we should be looking at. I just think the problem lies in the president making a statement that it's not a priority, particularly when they said it was going to be a priority when they came to power. Otherwise, from where I think that there are more critical issues as Ghanaians that will enhance our dignity.
All right, thank you very much. Doug, you take your last bite. So let me engage Bishop J.Y. and I'm told that the line out to me come. So Bishop, to say the year cardi on my Penisha the Catholic Bishop Conference. No, Kabibi say we need to take our time to educate the public for the LGBTQ because yet CCI obi o mo naturally nyame born no. Bia no your bad there, but usually homos na 80% of the homos no akwaye member there. Enti naturally enyo no pen no dey sad no. Enti ama onam ho no mo ayehunu say oye tomboy na akwaye say as said the poor nam we oye tomboy. So oye tomboy no kwa there definitely that person will do the edge is a part of LGBTQ plus. Sana in the vice versa obisu so your bema but the hormones no about 80% e your madie na ya kwa say onam okuta the manners of women enti no be ko suspect say any pan LGBTQ plus activist enti ni ya attack wo mo stigmatize wo mo na sa no ma no so until say ye be sa education no aba ma ya tie ho ase no ka yan twetwe law no so kakra yan education and sana ya yes don't you think that the president is making sense? Hello, Bishop. Hello, Bishop. And then they say, hello, Bishop. What's your maker? Oh, phone, no, they are too mute. Hello, Bishop. Please, for a second, oh, phone, no, unmute your phone, mommy. Hello? Bishop Joe, do all right. Hello, Bishop. What's your maker? Hello, Bishop. Bishop, what you mean? Me say unmute you or set the mama why? O phone no, o do sakwa ka mute. Enti unmute the mama fa o sakwa ka the mama. All right, okay, yeah, definitely, Joel Dubesa, but I say we need to channel our energy into fighting corruption and stabilizing the economy than the LGBT. Dr. Sebastian Paulo and Akasa Asemosi. So let me go back to Reverend Christian Andrews, Osofo Abosom, His Excellency. So Your Excellency, Edeba Sembiona obetimi asade aka ade afa ho.
Doctor Sepa the obaye no emso inasio no kan ya okabisi de na meka na so say yitumi emma a priority no call baby a ni me bitima boa o man no wo hwe percentage na wo kan say LGBT for the rise to be 3% and one so be too much say ebusa questions they wouldn't HIV for do a be a woman and I say one more almost so unemployment about 14% or so, maybe even more than that. And the young acquire you between him say nipa piano or say chrono ewo not far because they would need you maybe a sense need ma and Emma Kobokono. You may be say, you saw on the pen and passes about this one as a youth and the youth a good camp no more yet to the needing that and one of you eating over big drag. LGBT asim be kola dwene aba bedu ko wa prekura hese woda uti ase e wodi e yitimi yedwuma e egu pool party yegu a friends epoano yegu excuse me yo high obi a ginani nti e de be sade no baba e mu se duma wo ho they said they wa buchire what na buchire pe ya wa kudu no ma ala papa mo 5 no wo ko adwuma wo ba bedu le o pra ko factory o bedu fi adwuma ya we say sade ni na atubitwa enti en try see be mo de see be ma adwuma ba enipa bra bom danse ye be ye because I'm of
na yes let's ya shade o ti say na
eti the mesran say yema
yes let's ya shade o de na wo ka say President Mahama that fine de nye die hie emprempremu ani ni ade for they say enen kopem se bia ending of this month what the ahodi shem na kikikikiri ye pass law no na osan a will you be disappointed
osan wan je on fa bemre enya film menti menye ho na madwene bo be de masema na say yempa adwuma
baba yo say enkwara na say yo ni per say is obi wo horo
me ba o ma say ne ka charity begins at home o papa ye LGBT aba LGBT etudo na nkasa o po mungum mfom nyina anye emfa o me ba onko yibi onso ba onye bi o ti ase nipa o san ne so so be no be ye go smith ba go smith that is what is happening and nipa doma ye ba no ye fe say school no ene ye ntete nkora ne ye sebe ya yibiti mama enu momadi nkora nti no mo nko sa atibie no na o ka say ene obedi sa adi na chidia se nkofo go street bon nkofo go wu nkofo proni enso nya ho ne ye hwe ye ma ne ya ebiti ma dominate nipa brabo ama nipa aye responsible no eno so enchen sa no ma no mo mi ni se no mom ebe say lines na na edu baby asa
okay so eti say brain na ke e de ba say ya masa nkofo no membership wa ha be conference say omutimi ko ama bi su so omokoye conference say obi wo hono ma wate hono ma wa say o me pese me oba de me pese me feel say me ye me ho bema na me kosesa me organs na akwakoye me sexual organs na akwakoye me ho bema ne ade no eno na wo si ehu hia for now say ye be say oman no ye be tretre sa no ma ye be ye mra be tretre sa no ma
then na me ka jeju na go pon so o de papa ne boni esi wonim choose back one kasa take your own decision obi wa America obi wa other European countries na ka chene say ono an kasa enhwe ono an pe de ama no eti wo pe na onya go pon de ma o ti wo ne say onya me do pa ama ni wo ne ha o pe o de ase esa so no man no so ye wo mra e kire say obi an so freedom one kasa so bitima ne ha o pe ni mum no de ayem brand de ayem mra imu wenu aye baby a ye enye ne ho adwuma de bi mfa mo nipa nko nipa agibe free sade no so da se be so ama kotonko putim LGBT no mo ko pe jaba ko agibe bradwini ni ho obi ahu se go ene mo yi ede no mo yi no ko beka enti mi de mi hu se e won yin ase e de adwe di sade no so na ye kokoye ni.
All right, your excellency, you better ask for today.
Yeah, must pa nyamisha mo pa.
Also see nyamisha.
Reverend you are doing among first one among friend actually na umra su bi no me kana bi na me so me te chiri ni meti no. Yami insha mo.
All right, thank you very much. Reverend Christian Andrews, Osofrichira Abosom, leader and the founder of Life Assembly Worship Center. or no also the bankroller and the founder of GUM political party. So he said, thank you very much, sir. While joining you, balancing public priority and immorality, right? The place of LGBTQ plus issues in Ghana's policy agenda. Okay, so me say Bishop that's also now you met me up picking this time around. Now you move on. Bishop, good afternoon. Mama has said, "When I be the bet me at Toma." Hello, Bishop. Hello, Bishop. All right. All right. So, and then Baba called Dr. Paulo Horuna. Hello, Bishop. Okay. All right. So let me go to Dr. Sebastian Paulo now on family. So, Doc, let's watch this from this way. Just in case that President Mahama does not sign the LGBTQ plus bill. Politically, what does it really mean to the both political parties, the NPP and the NDC? Because per the information that I'm gathering, it wouldn't be easy for President Mahama to ascend that one to law. Judging from their political party background, as also a Democrats from US, their collaboration and all that. That's the information that we are having. So supposedly that President Mahama does not sign it before maybe the 2028 election. What will it mean for the both political parties, both NDC and NPP? Will it be a political suicide for NDC, for NPP to have some points, or what?
Yeah, Zika, if you remember the affirmative action bill, it died with many parliaments, right?
Yeah.
Would die with this one, come with that one till it was signed. So for me, I'll be very surprised if the president does not sign the what they call the family values bill.
Yeah. But
it may not come from him. We are all looking at what to roll out in Parliament. Here is a 2/3 majority. Nothing can stop it. And here is a country that is rebounding from a very disastrous economic background or economy. So I think that all the conditions are there, particularly for the president to show interest in this bill. And don't forget, I don't know the kind of message that the president will go to the assemblies of God, what he will go and tell the church. You see that there's a lot of closeness between the president and the church in particular. So for me, I expect that at least before he leaves office, yes, he has told us this is not a priority, but I expect that before he leaves office, he should respect the pressure from home than the pressure from external bodies. I just told you that some countries did not really, they didn't really bother. They've gone ahead to introduce acts that will criminalize same-sex activities.
Yeah.
We have those things in our laws, just that we want them to be so explicit. Some of the areas where we can target without necessarily politicizing it will be schools. That aspect is very critical. So I think that the schools should take this up. We shouldn't only look up to Accra to criminalize it before we make it a point. I always say that for anything to work, as the president said, we need a lot of education from homes up to the national level. So for me, I think to round it up, I would say that I'll be very surprised if the president doesn't sign it. But it also just tells us that Ghanaians can be taken for granted at any time. Because the MPP promised, it never happened. The NDC has promised, and it is looking very uncertain.
Yeah.
But for me, this is one of the low-hanging fruits. This is just one of the easy things that the NDC can consider. Sign it. Particularly, you see, there are signs of domestic economic stability. And we don't get enough funding from those who are particularly opposing this. If you look into the grants that we are getting these days, it is from South Korea, it's from China, it's from other emerging economies that are coming up. So, for instance, South Korea has promised, I think, $92 million or so, which is being used to establish the new university in Damongo. Now, these new partnerships that we are having are not necessarily people who are against same-sex anti-LGBTQ acts, because they themselves would not allow it. So that's why I keep saying that you will need to keep your old friends who are the Western actors who are mostly against this particular bill. But remember, if you have the political will, remember the lithium bill that was, before it was passed, we heard that there were a lot of, external forces that were against it. But eventually it was passed. That tells you that if there is political will, this bill should not have, it shouldn't face a lot of opposition. The opposition will come. But if the president is interested in this bill, it should pass. And I will be very disappointed as a Ghanaian if this bill does not get passed.
But Doc, let me ask you this. I remember there was a time we treated a story on one of our flagship programs, and we saw this LGBT activist. There was two girls who wanted to marry, and the police arrested them. We also had the same story around Bunahafu area. There were two men trying to marry, and police arrested them. Now, we've been doing that even without this family values bill or act. We've been doing that, preventing people to marry. That one is there. Now, I remember President Kufuor's time, this LGBTQ plus activists decided to meet in this country, and President Kufuor did not allow them. They made the same attempt in President Mills' time. President Mills did not allow them. The President Mohammed's first term, they did not come, but they made an attempt in Akufo-Addo's time. Akufo-Addo did not allow them because no president will sit down for them to do that here in his time. So the question that I'm asking is that since the president, the successive president did not allow them, and I don't think that any president will allow them to meet in this country, do you think that we need this law at all? Do we need it? Because everything is in the law already, practically not allowing it. So do we need this law at all?
One of the things that you would see in the new law or the new bill is that it has now expanded on natural canal law, canal, what's the name? On natural knowledge. Canal engagements, right? Knowledge. It has expanded that to now include campaigns. You see, exactly part of the reason why this bill is important is the activist activities, what they are trying to do. Now, on natural canal knowledge is simply not enough. What that means is that somebody can go about campaigning for same-sex activities to take place. Now, within the current law, my interpretation is that there are no provisions that will specifically tackle people who would go campaigning for same-sex activities in Ghana.
But are we seeing that year? Are we seeing that year in this country?
These are the attempts. These are the attempts by activists to come in and mobilize people, use different media spaces to propagate same-sex activities or same-sex norms. Now, I cannot judge, but we are speaking from cultural perspective. So this new bill that is sitting in Parliament or being considered in Parliament, one of the key issues is to stop the activities that will seek to promote it. So beyond the unnatural canal knowledge is the education, the public public campaigns for it. That is one of the things that this bill seeks to address. So for me, apart from this one, there are a lot of other additions based on where we are as a society today, and of course some of the penalties that accompany unnatural carnal related activities. So I think that the bill is important now. And for me, I think that we should come together and go through the content again. So civil society organizations should go through the content again and make sure that at least the dignity of people who identify as what we call sexual minorities, who don't identify, they want to do same sex. We need to look into it in such a way that we prevent their activities taking place in Ghana, whilst also respecting their dignity, because these are people who can contribute to the economy as well. I can assume there are a lot of big-time investors who see themselves as sexual minorities. So we need to consider this bill in such a way that it respects our cultural values, whilst also promoting an inclusive environment for everybody to come in and do business. So if you ask me, yes, we need it, and I think that the reason why we need it is simply because the existing law has outlived its importance, and of course every good law deserves some revisions. I'm even surprised that the Constitutional Review Committee did not say much about it. So these are some
all right, so thank you very much, Dr. Sebastian Paulo, political science lecturer at Kyiri University, and also a political analyst. So thank you very much.